Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's topic is snake bite, which is one of the important topics among non-communicable diseases. So every year, almost half a million incidents of envenomings happen, and among those, 20,000 people die every year, and these are conservative estimates. The actual number of envenomings as well as deaths in the world may be much higher than this. And the major groups of snakes that are responsible for these envenomings as well as deaths, these are elapids, which include cobras, kraits, and mambas, and vipers, and in some regions there are sea snakes. Highest incidence of snake bites is in South Asia and in Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. In Pakistan, areas which are most commonly affected are agricultural lands, mountains of Balochistan, and rural Sindh and Thar region. Adult males are most affected, followed by children aged 9 to 15 years. Greater incidence of snake bite in Pakistan is seen during the months of June to August, and it is due to floods and rains in these months. Also, sleeping in the open during the summer time. Breeding season of cobras, kraits, and vipers is also during these months. Snakes, being cold-blooded, are more active during summer, and the venom yield in snakes is higher in summer. So there are five major subfamilies of venomous snakes, and these are subfamily Colubrida, subfamily Elapida, subfamily Hydrophida, subfamily Viperida, and subfamily Atractaspida. So Colubrida include boomslang snakes, which are neurotoxic predominantly. Elapida examples are cobra, krait, and mamba, and these are neurotoxic predominantly. Hydrophida examples are coral snake, and these are myotoxic. वेपराइडा जो है उसमें सॉ स्केल वाइपर, पिट वाइपर, and these have hemolytic toxin. Then there are Atracta spida, and the example is adder, and it also has hemolytic venom. The composition and effects of venom varies considerably between species to species, but can broadly be divided into categories which include cytotoxins, which cause local swelling and tissue damage; hemorrhagens, which disturb the integrity of blood vessels; compounds which lead to incoagulable blood; neurotoxins causing neurotoxicity; and myotoxins which cause muscle breakdown. All snakes have some of each kind of venom, which we have discussed earlier, the ratios of which may be variable. So, all kinds of venom are present in every snake species, but one of these may be predominant, may be more in quantity than the others. Elapids have more neurotoxins, while vipers have more hemolytic toxins. Potency of venom depends upon species, time of the year, the geographic area, and amount of venom injected. The gravity of snake bite depends upon age and general health of victim, rate of absorption of venom, site of snake bite, emotional state of the victim, sensitivity of the victim to venom, and type of first aid given. So here is a comparison between viper envenomation and cobra and krait envenomation, and the kind of signs and symptoms that appear after the bites by these two types of subfamilies. In cobra and krait envenomation, there is systemic symptoms which become more prominent as the time goes on, and the onset is as early as 30 minutes. Severe pain, swelling, and necrosis may be there in case of cobra bite. General intoxication, creeping paralysis, ptosis, strabismus, staggering gait, slurred speech, dysphagia, dropping of head, complete paralysis of all voluntary muscles as time goes on, convulsions and abdominal pain due to internal hemorrhage in case of krait bites, respiratory distress and failure, and if no management is done, death within 15 hours. In case of viper envenomation, Great persistent pain at bite site, intensive swelling at bite site, edema that spreads from bite site, painful lymphadenopathy, ecchymosis, serum-filled blebs, numbness, nausea, vomiting, thirst, sweating, hematuria, hematemesis, bleeding, gums, melena, cyanosis, respiratory distress and failure, cerebral or intestinal hemorrhage, and eventually death if the patient is not managed. In case of a coral snake bite, there is no local swelling and the onset of symptoms is within 1 hour. Pain, stiffness of neck, back, and proximal parts of limbs may occur. Trismustosis, severe ophthalmoplegia, myoglobinuria, proteinuria, respiratory or renal failure, and eventually death may occur. So aim of snake bite management is reduce the absorption of venom and neutralizing the venom, along with relief of symptoms and prevention of complications. First and foremost in the management of snake bite is removal of anxiety and fear. Then one must try and identify the species of snake if possible. Usually two puncture wounds in case of poisonous and Jew-shaped teeth marks are present in case of non-poisonous snakes. If snake has escaped, the bite is treated as envenomation. Tourniquet is applied between bite site and heart, and the first aid is reached for if not available at site. So there are four first aid techniques that are used for snake bite uh, incidents. All of these are controversial. The efficacy or credibility of none of these is established. In fact, these may do more damage than benefit, but these are four first aid techniques that are used worldwide. The first one is cut and suck method, in which an incision is given on the bite side, and the venom is tried to be sucked out of that incision by some suction device. Earlier, people used to try and suck the venom with their mouths, but it is not recommended. In fact, it may cause harm to the person trying this technique. So this is one of the techniques. The other one is cold pack method, in which cold packs are applied at the site and area adjacent to the snake bite site. The theory behind it is to reduce the absorption of venom into the bloodstream by causing constriction of capillaries in that area. But the efficacy of this is also controversial, and there is no evidence to suggest that cold pack method works in cases of snake bites. Then another method, which is electroshock treatment. In this, electric shocks are given near to the bite site, and 5 to 6 electric shocks are given. And the idea is that the venom that has been injected into the body, it degrades or it breaks down into non-poisonous materials. But this is also just a theory. It is highly controversial. The efficacy of this technique is not established as well. Another technique is Australian pressure technique. In this technique, there are pressure is applied with elastic bandages, and on the idea is to reduce the absorption of venom into the bloodstream. And these bandages or tourniquets are applied at sites near to the bite site. And the technique was developed in 1970s by an Australian medical researcher. Again, the efficacy of this technique is not established, and there is no evidence to suggest that and this technique works in uh, in snake bites. The definitive treatment for snake bite is by the injection of antivenoms. These antivenoms may be monospecific, or polyspecific. Monospecific antivenoms are those which are against only one species of snakes. The polyspecific are those which are against the venom of multiple species of snakes. Polyvalent antivenoms against cobra, krait, and Russell vipers are available. Antivenoms against cobra and Russell viper only is available at the National Institute of Health, Islamabad. The procedure for giving antivenoms in snakebite victims is, first of all, the sensitivity is checked for. If there is any history of sensitivity to any vaccines, or that may indicate sensitivity to this, since horse serum is involved in the production of antivenom. Otherwise, zero point 0.1 ml of 10x diluted antivenom is injected intradermally. If the area becomes red in 15 minutes, it indicates the patient is sensitive to horse serum, and antivenom is given along with epinephrine only. And if severe anaphylactic reaction occurs, then the antivenom is not given at all, and anaphylaxis is treated. Routes of administration may be intravenous, intramuscular, intraarterial, or subcutaneous. Usually, it is given intravenous. Dosage is 20 to 50 ml initial dose, which is 5 times diluted with saline, and it is given over a period of 30 to 45 minutes intravenously. Another 100 to 150 ml may be required in first 24 hours. Supportive measures along with antivenoms are very necessary. These supportive measures may include fluid and electrolyte balance, which has to be maintained, and for this, blood transfusions may be required. Ventilation support may be needed. Antibiotics are given. Tetanus prophylaxis is given. Heparin and steroids may be given as well. So, how can we prevent snake bites from happening? Most important in agricultural areas, to wear knee-high boots in fields. Also, do not put hands in hollow logs or animal burrows. Residential areas have to be checked for cleanliness, and burrows. Vertical trenches are dug around the camp in outdoor settings, especially in military settings. A trench of 1 feet depth, 1 foot depth, and 1 foot width is dug around the camp. Checking of clothing, shoes, bedding, etc. before use when out in the field. Health education, of course, and there is also talk of an immunization and a vaccine being developed for snake bites, but this is just a theory at the moment. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.